if the question is why do people believe conspiracy theories, the question you're really asking is why do people believe anything? And the answer is for a lot of reasons. There isn't just one factor. And it would be easy if we could pin it on one thing, like, oh, it was Twitter made everyone believe this, or they were dropped on their head, or they happen to fit a particular demographic, or they have some psychological problem. But that's not going to explain most beliefs for most people.
Isn't it fascinating how easily our minds can be fooled? How quickly a narrative based on shaky evidence can take hold? The popularity of conspiracy theories show how easily misinformation can shape people's beliefs. That video by The Guardian shows how conspiracy theories happen when we verify information without personal experiences. Now, I've been fascinated with the topic of conspiracy theories since I was a kid, and I've done extensive research on them over the past years. So today, we'll dive into the nature of conspiracy theories. I'll provide examples of how misinformation shapes beliefs and discover solutions to combating it effectively. Have you ever vividly remembered something that turned out to be false? Well, that's the essence of the Mandela effect. The most common example is people believing that Nelson Mandela died in the 1980s when it was really 2013. It's fascinating how some people can share the same false memory. For example, the Berenstein Bears. It had an A and not an E. Or how the Monopoly Man never had a monocle, but you know who did? Mr. Peanut. Or how the Fruit of the Loom never had a cornucopia, but cornucopias were always known to be paired with piles of fruit. Dr. Nicole Washington and writer Jamie Eske from Medical News Today explained how input from other people can change memories, causing people to misremember events that never happened. Our memories aren't perfect recordings, they're reconstructions. An article from the Cleveland Clinic says that memory is influenced by different biases, perceptions, preconceptions, and expectations. That highlights how easily our minds can be tricked. A classic example is people believing that the 1969 moon landing was faked. Becky Little from thehistory.com explains how people thought it was a hoax that the US government staged to win the race with the Soviets. These claims have been debunked with scientific explanation, logic, and physics. The Royal Museum from Greenwich explains a few of these theories. For example, the US Apollo 11 flag is waving in the wind, but there's no wind in space. Well, it had to be a fan or a vacuum or something like that. No. If you look closely across the top, there is a telescope pole that is holding the flag together. Well, why is it wind or wrinkly? Because it's been stored in a rocket ship for the past 4 days. There's no stars in the picture. Well, 1, it was daytime on the moon. 2, the exposure on the camera. It was too short to capture the stars. It's like if you stand outside on your back porch and take a picture of the sky, you won't really see stars. Well, why have we never been back? The National Space Center Discovery Director, Professor Anu Ocha, explains that priorities changed. With the Vietnam War and the mindset that we've won the space race, the missions were abandoned. But let's touch on the ever-present theories surrounding the JFK assassination. While the official Warren Commission concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, researcher Amy Irvine from the History Hit explains how this event spawned countless theories involving with the Soviet Union, or mafia, CIA, a second shooter, the Umbrella Man, Fidel Castro, and even Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson. Some believe that the magic bullet theory, where one bullet caused multiple injuries, was simply implausible, and the sheer volume of speculation, despite the official investigation and released documents from archives.gov, highlights our willingness to seek alternative narratives when faced with unanswered questions or discomforting truths. Most documents, however, didn't really reveal a true one killer. However, it did confirm that Oswald was working with the Soviet Union and had many trips to Mexico. Well, how do we combat this challenge of having misinformation shape our beliefs? One crucial step is to demand and support transparent communication from authorities. This means easier access to government documents. The Federal Information Transparency outlines guidelines for this, making information more accessible to the public. The GovOS team, a resource for state and local governments, ensures that government entities have a responsibility to foster maximum transparency and honesty with citizens. Critical thinking is also very important, and data literacy. Educator Barbara Huth says that teens spend at least 5 hours a day on social media identifying mis and disinformation. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security also has steps to ensure that what you're seeing is true. Also, using resources like factcheck.org, which specialize in debunking theories and myths, are readily available. I even use factcheck.org for simple research papers or general questions I had. There's also a website called Big 10 Conspiracy, where they have a conspiracy detection kit that has 10 rules to evaluate whether something is true or false, which helps individuals validate claim. The popularity of conspiracy theories shows how easily misinformation can shape beliefs. By verifying information before accepting it as a fact, we can collectively stem the tide of misinformation. Thank you.